to the Bundesliga Show. Season's greetings. The Christmas break is upon us. Obviously, this show is brought to you by Over the Bar, presented by your hosts, myself, Rory Petre, and Mark Broadhurst of Nuremberg. So the last round of Matchday fixtures before the Christmas/mini winter break is Matchday 13. Been treated to some more very interesting and lots of talking points for myself and Mark to go through. Just before we go over to Mark's mystery anagram, as always, we're just going to quickly ask you guys to keep subscribing. Please click that red button when you're watching on YouTube to get us up to the big 100 number. Hopefully, we're going to start be able to do some giveaways as well. So keep your ears peeled for that in the future. Get yourself subscribed for potentially the chance to win some merchandise of OTB stuff coming up potentially in the near future. And please also do so if you are listening on an audio platform. Leave us a review, leave us a rating, comment in the comment section below as well. If you're watching on YouTube, let us know how we're getting on. Anyway, on to business then. Straight over to Mark for Mark's mystery anagram. He'll obviously tell us what the answer was to last week's show and this week's one as well. So Mark, over to you.
Yeah, so over to lockdown Nuremberg here. Yeah, so let's have a little look over at Mark's mystery anagram for the week 13 fixtures. So let's have a little look. So let's just start by recapping last week's anagram as well, which if you can remember, if you're one of our regulars to the show, you will probably remember it was a bunker severely. Yeah, but unfortunately, nobody got it correct this week. So come on, guys. We're getting mixed results here on this. So some weeks we're getting it, other weeks we're not. But I think that's 2 weeks in a row now that nobody's got it. Yeah, and to be honest, this week it probably wasn't one of our harder ones either because it was a club. I think usually the clubs are a little bit easier than the players or managers. And it was indeed the Bundesliga leaders going into this weekend, actually, Bayern, Leverkusen. Yeah. So, yeah, nobody got it right, but hopefully next time we'll have a little bit more luck. So, yeah, so remember, guys, that every single anagram that we do, it has to be a club, a player, or a manager/head coach, as they call them these days, from the Bundesliga. And, so let's move on to week 13's Mark's mystery anagram, which, as you can see now at the bottom of your screen, is gonna lie. So, yeah, it should be a little bit easier this week, a nice short one. Remember, guys, if you're listening on the podcast, just take a pen very quickly. And I'm just going to read it out a bit slower for you. So it's 2 words. It's gonna, G-O-N-N-A, lie, L-I-E. Gonna lie. So remember, it has to be something related to the Bundesliga, either a club, a player, or a coach/manager. And comment on our YouTube channel or just do it for fun if you're listening on our podcast on Spotify or Anchor. So yeah, just interact with us as much as possible because we really appreciate that and we want it as much as possible. So yeah, so that's the end of Mark's mystery anagram for week 13. So let's find out the results and find out which clubs have had an unlucky week 13. So let's have a look at, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, the results from the Friday, Saturday and Sunday of this week 13 fixtures. So on Friday night, we started with a 2-1 win for Union against ailing Dortmund. Yeah, so the first defeat for the I'm not really sure what you call him. Is he a permanent manager or more likely a stand-in, really, Terzic? But yeah, he faced a difficult, obviously winning his first game in Bremen, but a 2-1 defeat in this game in Berlin. Then moving on to Saturday, a nice third win of the season for Frankfurt away in Augsburg, a good performance there from Eintracht. Then disappointing, the season is starting to really take a turn for the worse for Gladbach the last few weeks. a 2-1 home defeat to previously struggling Hoffenheim, but that's a win that will give them some confidence. Then a bottom of the table clash between Mainz and Werder, which ended in a 1-0 win for Werder away from home. Then maybe a surprising 0-0 draw between RB Leipzig and Cologne. So, I mean, Cologne really shoring up the defense from the midweek hammering by Leverkusen. A fantastic result for them. Then it was the clash of the bottom teams, wasn't it? The 18th v 16th clash. And once again, as we seem to say every single week, Schalke lose. A 1-0 home defeat to Bielefeld, really, that's their first away win of the season, and what a win it is. Then onto the other side of the table, the clash between first v second, Bayer Leverkusen v Bayern Munich. And yeah, I mean, it was all too predictable, wasn't it? I mean, Leverkusen having much of the better of the play, but Bayern finding the win 2-1 away from home. Then onto the Sunday games, a really, really entertaining game between Freiburg and Hertha Berlin, which ended in a 4-1 win for Freiburg. 3 wins on the bounce for them now, who have really finished the first part of the season well. And then moving on to the last game, Wolfsburg won against perhaps a slightly tired Stuttgart side, 0. So a rare defeat for Stuttgart, really, only a third defeat for them of the season. So yeah, so that rounds up your scores on the doors for week 13. So yeah, let's move on to OTB's featured 4, where we pick out the best 4 games of the weekend. So remember, this is like a double header show, really, where we wanted to kind of, obviously, just before the winter break, we will have a 2-week break after this, a slightly reduced winter break due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Usually it's about 4 weeks, but this year it's only going to be 2 weeks. So yeah, we won't be away for too long, guys. Don't worry about that. But yeah, we wanted to kind of sum up every team's performance, really, over this kind of double header weekend, because it was a rare Englische Woche, as they call it, English week, where they have midweek fixtures as well in week 12. So yeah, let's start with obviously the big game. I mean, there's only one place to start this weekend, and it probably was the game of the weekend as well in terms of quality, which was Bayer Leverkusen 1, Bayern Munich 2. Yeah, I mean, obviously, from a Leverkusen perspective, the game couldn't have started better with Paddy Schick absolutely banging a volley in, and then seemingly having the second goal. I was sitting there on my couch, like celebrating, thinking that they'd gone 2-0 up. Sorry, Bayern fans, but yeah, I don't want you to win the league this year. Yeah. It looked like 2-0, but again, one of these offside decisions, wasn't it? It was like a toenail offside, but I mean, that was a massive point. And then from then on, Bayern doing what Bayern do, really, and Lewandowski doing what Lewandowski does. What did you make of that one, Rory?
Well, to try and avoid kind of repeating myself, it's kind of same old, really, in terms of the way that Bayern are playing lately is quite unimpressive. Obviously, we've lauded them on many occasions, certainly at the start of the season, for the way that they play football. Obviously, an exceptional team with a lot of talent going forward. But just at the moment, they're just having to scrap through games. And as we mentioned in our previous show, the midweek version, they scraped past Wolfsburg, again, not necessarily being the better team. And they've done it again. Yeah, in terms of reviewing the game, like you said, if Leverkusen go 2 up, then it's a different game for Bayern to chase. But again, as I've kind of said beforehand, Bayern have got this habit in big games, especially when they're down, they get a goal just before half-time and it kills teams, mentally speaking. And obviously the second half was a bit of a non-event, really, because a lot of teams are looking tired and fatigued, which is understandable, of course. So the nature in which Leverkusen gave the goals away, I mean, it's almost like they want Bayern to win the league. So Tapsoba gives the ball away when he should just blast it forward, and so Bayern then have the ball in their third. It's whipped in, and then both Jonathan Tah and keeper Hardecki both missed the ball completely. And I mean, Lewandowski doesn't need an invitation to score, so he just clips it into the net, an open goal to make it 1-1. And then all that positivity, all that energy is just sucked right out of Leverkusen, I think. And as I said, second half, bit of a non-event, settle for a point, and then, at least you're still top by Christmas. But no, Jonathan Tah's first touch, my word. Second touch is basically a tackle, which is familiar to my footballing skills, I think. So I'm familiar with the concept. But yeah, and then they break, and then Lewandowski obviously finishes really well to make it 2-1. He obviously is the game changer, the game decider. So Bayern sitting pretty at the top of the Christmas tree at Christmas after a huge double win this last few days. So I wouldn't say it was impressive by them. It was a great game. I say a great game. It was a good game to watch. The first half especially was better than the second. But yeah, Leverkusen will be absolutely devastated by that. A game that they should never have lost.
Yeah, I mean, in some ways it might be good that they have a 2-week break on that game, to be honest, because I think if they were playing next midweek, then they could really have a hangover on that. Like, I know managers often come out with the cliche that you just want to get onto the next game, but very often we see teams that, you've seen it with Spurs in the Premier League. They face the first defeat in ages, then they lose a second game a few days later. And I wouldn't be surprised that if Leverkusen played next midweek or something, then they'd probably lose again, I think this is a really, really hard defeat to take for Leverkusen because, as you say, there's no way in a million years that Bayern did enough to win that game, really. And I mean, you're at home. Even a draw would have been a really good result for Leverkusen because you're still going in top. You're 13 games unbeaten. I mean, at the end of the day, if you beat the other teams and you draw against your title rivals, then that's fine. You just need to make sure you don't lose those kind of games. And yeah. I mean, it's just after dominating the first 44 minutes, it's an absolute sickener for them. Yeah, it's just their fans and their players it's ruined their Christmas. That is, I can guarantee it. It's obviously for Bayern ending first of all. Wolfsburg's 11-game winning run on Tuesday or Wednesday, and then the Leverkusen's 12-game winning run, unbeaten run. I mean, you just can't. And they didn't really play well in either game. That's just how. Right. That is just how good Bayern are, really, And I think we mentioned it on the last show that to win football matches, you need to have this ability. You're not going to play amazing every single match. You just can't do it in football. It's but they just have that ability, don't they?
I think the only negative for Bayern is the fact that Koeman went off injured. That could be crucial because obviously we've already mentioned how well he's played this season, and I mean the new signing Sane on then off. So the sub getting subbed, so that's obviously not a great look for him. But on the other side of it, it's great to see Kimmich back from their point of view. So yeah, a very good weekend for Bayern Munich fans and the club, especially in terms of the other results, obviously, which we'll go on to talk about. So yeah, Merry Christmas, Bayern fans. Commiserations, Bayer Leverkusen fans, I think.
Yeah, I was going to allude to that about Sane because actually today Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, the kind of sporting director of Bayern, came out and I wouldn't really say slated Sane, but he definitely criticised him quite openly. He said he needed to give him a kick up the butt to get him start to play him properly, which is quite... they are a little bit... He's done a few good things. I think he had his best game in that match against... Dortmund. He played well in that game, but I think other than that, he's not. But I think he's been unlucky about the fact that Kingsley Coman has just been so good. I think Bayern would have been secretly thinking, Sané's going to replace Coman in the starting lineup, in the first choice starting lineup. But it's anything but at the minute. We don't know how long he's injured for. I don't know if you saw that. I don't think it was a serious injury, but
no, probably not.
They're going to hope he's back. Yeah, they're definitely going to hope he's back for the first game after the winter break on the 2nd and 3rd of January. Okay, so let's swiftly move on to the next game, which was again, it's kind of sums up the fortunes of these two teams this season, doesn't it? Another two-headed goals for Union Berlin. So they've had 4 goals in this double header this week, and all of them have been headers. Yeah. I mean, we've talked before that they do play more football this season, but I think without Max Kruse in these 2 games, they've gone back to basics, but they're still getting results, aren't they? I mean, it's just but at the same time, I mean, what are Dortmund doing defensively? They just look an absolute shambles defensively, don't they? And at the end of the game, Mats Hummels, just before his interview, I don't know if you saw this, Rory, but he smashed the board. Like, he's clearly not enjoying times at the moment, and he wants to show the fans that he's anything but happy, and things are just not right at the club. What do Dortmund need to do to even salvage this season, really?
Oh, it's tricky because, as we've mentioned, there's a lot of issues, it seems, because from the defensive point of view, obviously there's a lot of problems. They've tried different formations. I know a lot of fans aren't particularly pleased with the player or the signing of Meunier. He hasn't settled, I don't think. And then they're just so easy to play against. It seems it's either balls over the top or set pieces seem to be their undoing. They're 2 pretty easy ways to play. So yeah, it's tricky. If you keep on playing around formations, it's hard for defenders and players to get used to a shape as well. So it's tricky to keep on trying things especially when you're in the pressure cooker of having to keep on getting results, even whilst you're playing quite poorly. And then going further up the field, obviously there's this massive reliance on Haaland, which is even more kind of clear when he's not playing and when he's been injured. Obviously, one thing that we should say, obviously, congratulations to the young man Moukoko, obviously breaking the Bundesliga record for the youngest ever goal scorer. Very, very impressive. And I'm sure we're going to be talking a lot about that young man in years and years to come. What I would say is I'm surprised he didn't actually get his goal earlier, because he certainly had a lot of chances in midweek, I'd say. But he did take his chance very well. A very fine left-footed strike to get themselves in the game. But yeah, just rinse and repeat for Union. Yeah, set pieces, done the job, especially when they probably would have known that Dortmund have been weak to this. We saw Cologne, I think, take advantage of that previously against Dortmund. So that's obviously a massive worry for them. Yeah, I mean, obviously Hummels has come out and, as one of the senior figures in the team, takes the presses and things like that, and it is hurting quite clearly. And it's probably quite difficult when you're someone like Hummels, who's obviously now an aging player, but he's still a big name and he's a big player, but maybe his body isn't doing what he wants it to do potentially. And I'm sure Hummels as a character, he's a winner, he's a leader, he'll be trying his level best to turn things around for the club. But right now, that defence looks incredibly leaky. They keep on playing themselves into trouble. I think when you're struggling, you just try and be a bit more direct, get it out your defence. Don't give the opposition a chance to press you so much, maybe. But yeah, there's a lot of issues going on at Dortmund. On the other side of it, Union, strength to strength, they're looking really, really good. Really impressed by them. Looking like, top 6 at the very minimum is achievable. I don't see why not. The way that they're going, got a nice little break now as well. Maybe they didn't need a break because they're one of the form teams at the moment, I'd say, in the Bundesliga. But so they're going up, and Dortmund, are coming down at the moment. So yeah, very interesting times at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, 4 points in 2 home games against Bayern and Dortmund within the space of a week. Remember, and obviously sandwiching that with they probably should have got the win at Stuttgart in midweek as well, but everything's just going great for Union, isn't it? I mean, it's like, obviously Cedric Teuchart as well, another assist from him. Like, they have so many players who can deliver that ball, We mentioned in previous shows, Trimmel is another one, but Teuchart as well. The guy on loan from Liverpool, sorry, my pronunciation of that, Awoniyi. Yeah, I think he's one of the harder names to pronounce in the Bundesliga. But yeah, I mean, he's kind of come out. This is one of the things I love about the Bundesliga. Like, you just kind of get players that come out of the woodwork, don't you? You know, like obviously last season their kind of number one striker was Bülter, but he can't get near the pitch nowadays, and it's just yeah, it's they're just one of those teams. I think there's a lot of similarities between Stuttgart and Union, that they've just got hero after hero in that team. They're playing like their lives depend on it, you know. Like, all of the players are playing like way above what they should be, really, you know. And they've become a really good side, and I think it's I mean, it's credit to Urs Fischer that he's getting so much out of that team, because it's like, I mean, there's no way that if you looked at that team on paper at the start of the season, there's no way you could predict that they'd be putting these kind of performances in, you know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I did predict to not to give myself too much credit, you know, I did predict them to be top 6, top 7, but I would say they've even exceeded my expectations, because they're not only doing well against the smaller teams, but they're doing well against the bigger teams as well, and they're getting wins against the bigger teams and results. But yeah, I think as for Dortmund, I mean, it's the opposite, really, isn't it? I mean, obviously, if you look at those two sides as a football fan and said who's going to win this game, every day of the week you'd say the Dortmund team. You know, I mean, they've got household names all across the pitch. But I think aside from probably Reina and Moukoko, like, which players can you say had a good game in this match? You know, like even guys like Jadon Sancho and Marco Reus are massively underachieving this season as well, and it's just not good enough. Even Emre Can, you know, obviously he had a situation the other week as well where he stormed off the pitch. I think it was against Stuttgart, and he's been recalled for this game, but they're just not doing it, are they? And Axel Witsel has been getting a lot of stick as well after a really good season last year. It's just, I don't know. There's got to be something wrong with the culture in the club, because they're getting a lot of dissent. You're seeing dissent all the time, and it's just, there's clearly, for me, they need to get like a top manager in as soon as possible. I wouldn't even give Terzic the next game, to be honest. I really think they need to get someone in ASAP, because if they could, for me, if they continue in this vein, they can forget top 4, to be honest, really. I don't think they can even get, I just don't see it at all. Yeah, even with Haaland back in the team, hopefully in January. Yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the next game. So talking of teams struggling again, like we seem to mention this a lot, don't we? Schalke, we said on the last show that this was a massive game. You couldn't even get a point out of this home game against Arminia Bielefeld to nick the win. On the flip side, Fabian Klos, who missed a sitter against Augsburg in the last game, bangs in the winner in this game. So it just proves the difference that a week can make, well, a few days can make in football, really. Yeah, I mean, a fantastic moment for him. What did you make of this one, Rory?
Classic relegation 6-pointer, wasn't it? Certainly built up that way, and it probably would have been easy to predict a kind of scrappy 1-0 result. But Bielefeld, I'd say, you know, were quite clearly the team that wanted to get the win, were desperate for it. Didn't seem there was, you know, enough desperation from Schalke to go out there and commit to getting the points. Obviously, Bielefeld could have been one up long before they scored in the end, through chances for Cordova, I think it was. And then obviously ultimately maybe, you know, Ortega in there for Bielefeld is forced to make one really good, you know, lightning kind of reaction save to follow up a shot off the line as well. But yeah, I mean, other than that, Schalke didn't particularly look like they were gonna score, and it was probably just, you know, a matter of time in regards to Arminia. That's obviously a massive win for them. So well done to Arminia. They keep on plugging away, and that's obviously that's done them a lot of good. There is obviously now a bit more of an established gap between the bottom two. Schalke are, you know, a cut adrift. They're 6 points behind Arminia as a result of that loss, and that's just to be in a relegation playoff place. I said in the last show, if Schalke loses, they're effectively gone. I always want to kind of give hope to fans, you know, of teams that are certainly potential to go, but right now, my words, I'd happily do so. But I think Schalke are gone, unless they can get the new manager who's come in, which we've not even alluded to yet, of course, because Manuel Baum was the second manager to be relieved of his duties this season for Schalke. Sums up their season. So hopefully the new manager can inspire the team, but at the moment I can't see it happening.
Yeah, I mean, it's you're just hoping for, like, I think what they're hoping for is that kick from a new manager. You know, I mean, obviously Manuel Baum, he didn't get a single win in, I think it was 10 or 11 league games, not a single win. And then obviously they fire him on the Friday, and then in comes Stevens, like Mr. Schalke. I think this is like his third stint in charge of the club, and he's not done well in any of them. I think his last job was like a kind of botched job at the end of 2 seasons ago, when he only got 2 wins out of 10 games at the end of the 2018-19 season. I mean, it's just, I mean, I've lost words to say about Schalke, to be honest with you. Just the whole thing. I mean, remember, this is one of the top 4 biggest clubs. Can you imagine this in England? Like, I mean, obviously Arsenal are bad now, but it's nothing compared to what's happening with Schalke, you know, because it's just, I mean, they've not won for almost a year. By the time they next play on the 2nd of January, I think they've got 2 or 3 more games to save the bacon without going a whole year without a league win. It's just absolutely like, I mean, obviously they bring in a new manager for this game, and you can see what the board are thinking. They're thinking, you know, we can get the new manager kick is going to get us a win here, and we can kickstart our season. And even then, they lose at home to Bielefeld. You know, it's just, you just can't believe it, really, can you? It's just, I mean, for me, I agree with you, Rory. I think, like, realistically, the minimum you're going to need is like 25, 26 points to stay up. And I mean, can you see them getting another, like, 22, 23 points from this season? That's going to be like at least 6 wins for relegation playoff, you know, and that will be lucky. That will be like a low number for the relegation playoff. It could easily be 30 points that they need if other teams recover, you know. And I just think they're dead and buried in my eyes now. I mean, I said they need at least 6, 7 points from Augsburg, Freiburg, and Bielefeld, and they've got 1 point from those games, and they've still not got the win. So it's just, it really is dire, isn't it? I mean, it's just, you just can't believe it. I mean, I feel sorry for the fans, to be honest, because it's a massive club. You know, the club is so important in that part of the world, and it's just, they're going to be playing 2nd division football for me for the first time in many, many years. I mean, I don't know the stats exactly, but I would imagine it's at least 50, 60 years since they were last playing 2nd division football. But yeah, I mean, barring a miracle now, and a real miracle, then it's going to be what happens, unfortunately, for them. Okay, so moving on to another team who are really, really starting to struggle again. Like, after a slight renaissance a few weeks ago, they're only 2 points better off than Schalke, actually, and it's Mainz as well, losing at home to Werder Bremen, who also hadn't won for a good while. I mean, it was a last-minute goal, a really good goal, to be honest. Tahith Chong getting the assist, which will probably be good for Rory as a Man United fan. But yeah, I mean, again, Mainz just seem to be getting worse at the moment, don't they? Mateta and Boetius don't seem to be getting the goals that they were early on in the season, you know?
Yeah, I think you often kind of get a bit of Jekyll and Hyde with Mainz, and at the moment they're on this ugly kind of run of form. Don't look very attacking, or don't look like they're going to get any goals right now, and obviously they were very close to what would have been, a very decent point in the end. But as you've alluded to, Tahith Chong managed to set up a young debutant in the form of I think it's Dinshi. That pronunciation is probably way off. But the young 19-year-old on his debut, basically his first touch, or maybe even his first touch of Bundesliga football, is a winning goal. And a very important winning goal for Werder, because they've been slipping down themselves lately. So that's obviously kind of been a bit of a fairy tale end for the young 19-year-old. So great great to see for him. Yeah, well, not a lot of chances, I'd say. Obviously, Sargent, I think, had a few headed chances in the first half. And then the second half was probably quite stale. And then just sometimes that bit of injection of pace. Chong is a tricky player. He often kind of runs down kind of wrong alleys and kind of gets his final ball a bit wrong. But he's starting to, produce a few nice bits off the bench. Be good to see him put in a full 90-minute performance. I think that's obviously one thing that we've not seen from him as a young man just yet. But yeah, important win for Werder. Mainz, yeah, as we've mentioned, there's now a bit more of a gap. So they need to get an important victory as soon as possible in the new year.
Yeah, it just seems as though to me that they just stopped creating chances. Like early on in the season, they were absolutely horrendous defensively, but they were scoring goals. Obviously, like Quaison, Mateta, Botius, they had goals in the team,
Yeah.
And we were saying that if they can just shore up the defence a bit. And to be fair to them, I wouldn't say they're defending well now, but they are defending a bit better. They don't seem to concede as many chances, and they're not as easy to play through the middle that they were in probably the first 5 or 6 rounds of fixtures. But I don't know. I guess it's one of them. They can't get the balance right in the team. And when they try to defend a bit deeper maybe and play a bit more conservatively, they just can't get anything going attacking. So it's just I think there's still a little bit more hope that they can stay up. But again, I mean, the bottom two are really looking pretty dire, and they have been for most of the season. Let's be honest with you. I mean, it's just I think this season more than ever, like the writing almost looks on the wall, really. I mean, I think it's obviously, I would say the only other 2 teams that have anything to worry about this year are probably Bielefeld and Cologne. But as we've seen in recent weeks, those 2, they're fighting a lot harder than Mainz and Schalke. So I think just the fight might allow them to kind of finish 3rd and 4th from bottom. Obviously 3rd from bottom goes into a playoff, so it doesn't mean that they're safe. But I just don't see how they're going to be able to get enough results. And I mean, obviously, a lot of teams struggling financially, so I don't expect to see a lot of action in the transfer market from any teams in January, to be honest. I really don't. Maybe a couple of signings for Dortmund and the bigger clubs, but I don't see anything from like the teams kind of 5th or 6th downwards, to be honest with you. So I don't expect much to happen on that kind of front, and I just don't see enough in there to make me think that they can stay up this year. Rory, do you think the writing's on the wall for Mainz and Schalke?
Yeah, more so for Schalke because Mainz do have goals in them. I think, as you mentioned, Mateta, Botius, Quaison, they've all grabbed a couple of goals so far this season, Mateta especially. Yeah, maybe the proverbial writing is on the wall for Mainz, but if they can get a few more goals back in their system, they'll have a lot better of a chance for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So let's move on to quickly some of the other games as well in the weekend. So yeah, we had a win for draw specialist Frankfurt, 2-0 in Augsburg. I think this was a relatively entertaining game. There were probably quite a lot of chances for both teams really, but I think Frankfurt definitely had the better of this game, Rory.
Yeah, very narrowly, I'd say. Obviously, Augsburg kind of neatly tucked into mid-table, won't necessarily be too upset, given that they're playing a very good Frankfurt side. Frankfurt, of course, will be relieved, massively relieved. They've finally been able to convert from the draws that they've been getting. So yeah, obviously, Andre Silva being involved in goals is a bit of an obvious thing to say from a Frankfurt point of view. He was involved in the lead up to the own goal, their first goal. So yeah, Frankfurt, they can certainly be happy with the job they've done so far. They've not lost many games. Now, hopefully, going into the new year, bit of momentum on the back of that win, and they can push on for European places perhaps.
I think Augsburg, to be fair to them, they did make a few changes as well for this game. Ruben Vargas, who's kind of like seen as their main forward threat, he only came on after 66 minutes. I think probably the only thing obviously it's been a solid season for Augsburg so far, given their kind of budget and kind of that side of things. But I would say the only sad thing is that Niederlechner hasn't picked up from where he was. I mean, for me, he was one of my kind of standout players of last season. I really he was just like that kind of big gangly striker, but he was just banging the goals in from all angles last season. This year, I think he's only got 1 or 2 goals maximum, and his performance level's been nowhere near what it was last season. Obviously, Alfred Finn Bogasan as well. He was the star of 2 years ago for them. So, yeah, it's interesting to see him get a start because he doesn't play very often at all these days. Surprises me a little bit because I quite like him as a player. He seems like a natural goal scorer. But, yeah, I mean, it does prove that they have a few options at Augsburg as well. I mean, they do have options. Vargas, Niederlechner, Finn Bogasan. It's a decent, solid side. And I don't think this was a bad performance. When you're Augsburg, you're always going to lose games, you know. But it was as long as the performance level stays as high as it is, they'll win comfortably enough to finish like in for me, they'll probably finish like higher bottom half, really. Okay, so yeah, and then obviously a pretty eventful game between Gladbach and Hoffenheim. Yeah, I mean, some might be surprised we didn't feature this game, but yeah, I mean, it was a Lars Stindl penalty giving them the lead. So that's 4 goals in his last 2 games for the on-form attacking midfielder Stindl. And then obviously Hoffenheim fighting back for what was a really, really big win. But I think probably the big talking point was the Marcus Thuram spitting incident. I mean, obviously at 1-1, and I think there was about 12 minutes to go. And then he does that, tries to deny it at first. To be fair to him, he did apologise. He came out on the Saturday night and he apologised for doing that. But I mean, I don't think his manager will be thankful at all. I mean, he is the star player. And then obviously from an English perspective as well, Ryan Sessegnon getting quite a nice winner. Yeah, I mean, a big goal for him because it's not been maybe quite... I expected him to go to Hoffenheim and get straight in the team, but it's not been that... I would say it's been more down than up for Sessegnon so far, Rory.
Yeah, I'd say so. I mean, I think in the last month or so, he started to show some really nice touches. I think he's got the odd assist as well, and is starting to link up quite nicely with Kramaric. So I'd say, you know, he's now on, you know, an uphill curve. So fingers crossed we see a lot more from him and Kramaric. But yeah, with regards to the red card and Thuram, it's just, yeah, it's horrible to see, disgusting, really. You know, in an age where we're even more, you know, conscious about health and welfare, to do that is it's disgusting. It's not on. So yeah, obviously it's good to see that he's come out and apologised. Hopefully he learns from it and never does it again. And I mean, you know, he won the penalty for Stindl to score in the first place, and in theory wasn't having a bad game. Whether it's frustration, I don't know. But yeah, that's horrible to see. And has ultimately cost his team dearly again. So yeah, Gladbach really struggling at the moment. I don't quite know what's going on, and why they can't seem to pick up these wins. And now that, you know, they're very much in a race for top 6. I mean, top 4 isn't beyond them because other teams have been losing around them. So there's still plenty of time to go. 2-week break is probably perfect for them. I think they just need to get refreshed and go again in the new year. But ultimately, Thuram, you know, he's out for the next few games because of that. And that, again, might cost them. So not only has he cost them in one game, him not playing in future games may also not be good. Credit to Hoffenheim because their performances have just started to take a bit more of a turn for the better. So that's great to see them kind of pushing back up the league because they were starting to fall down a bit too much to their own liking. But yeah, a really important win for Hoffenheim. Very well done indeed.
Yeah, and a good performance from them as well. A couple of nice goals. Alluding back to the Thuram incident, it'd be interesting to see how many games ban he will get, because I know, like, in Germany, they're taking it, like, really, really seriously, that kind of incident. I mean, as they should, really, in a pandemic, you know, and I think it could potentially add another couple of games onto the ban, the fact that we are in a cup. Because, I mean, in Germany, they very much consider footballers like role models as well to the society. And if kids have seen him doing that, then it could react badly in a kind of wider society. I mean, obviously it's never good to spit in someone's face, but in a global pandemic, it's even worse, really, you know. I wouldn't be surprised to see them slap like a 10-match ban on him for that, to be honest with you. I really wouldn't. But, I mean, he probably deserves it if he gets it, which would be a massive blow for Gladbach as well, to be honest. But, yeah. Okay, yeah. And then moving on from that, obviously a 0-0 draw between Leipzig and Cologne as well. I mean, nobody could have predicted 0-0 there. I think most people would have had that one down on the over 4.5 goals kind of. I would have done anyway, yeah. Rory, what did you think of that?
Yeah, a bit of a coupon buster, that result, isn't it? Yeah. It certainly was for me. Yeah, well done to Cologne. Really good defensive display. Ultimately, RB did have their chances. Timo Horn in net did a fantastic job as well. Obviously, they did have the ball in the back of the net after just 3 minutes, but it was judged to be ruled offside in the build-up. So, yeah, I mean, it's the old cliche that we've talked about with RB. We've said this season how they've changed and they're not going to drop points against these teams and do all these silly things. And now they've done it just before Christmas. Maybe it's because they're tired. A lot of teams have looked tired this match day weekend. And they just couldn't get that bit of quality to get them what would have been a really important win. They've dropped points, and obviously Leverkusen dropped points, and Bayern took advantage of that. So, yeah, bad weekend overall for RB just before Christmas. But yes, well done to Cologne, though. That's an important point for them.
Yeah, it's such a pity, though, that I guess for the title race, that Leipzig couldn't get over the line. Because as you say, they played so much football. I mean, the season started in the middle of September, and this was the 7th midweek match they've had to play. Obviously, on top of 6 Champions League group games, it's just been absolutely brutal. So I think, and I say this match wasn't midweek, but the one against Hoffenheim, which they won. But, I mean, this one was just one game too far. And actually, Cologne did have a few chances on the break to win it, especially one at the end as well, where the manager, I think he saw glory in his eyes and he just kind of screwed it wide. But, yeah, I mean, it's still a massive point for Cologne. And they have been, I mean, obviously, the last away game, they won in Dortmund as well, didn't they? So, I mean, it's been a good little run for Cologne. It really has, yeah. Okay, so let's move on to the Sunday games now. So yeah, we had we praised Freiburg in the last show. I mean, it's been another amazing performance from them. I mean, obviously Grifo, definitely. I mean, we said he had a good game against Schalke, but this game he had a really, really good game. He was just outstanding in this match, wasn't he? Controlled the match from start to finish. Obviously got the early goal. I mean, then I think they had a number of chances, Freiburg, to get the second goal. And then all of a sudden the game just flipped on a switch. Luca Bacchio getting the equaliser, and then at 1-1, I think Hertha Berlin had like 3 chances to take a 2-1 lead, which would have been undeserved in a way. But I mean, I think they hit the post through Cunha, then they had another couple of chances through Luca Bacchio as well, and then all of a sudden they get the second goal, which was a little bit lucky. It seemed like a mishit to me, the second goal, but then obviously the game switched again and Freiburg went on to win comfortably. What kind of stood out to you, Rory, in that one?
Well, the one standout player I think was Grifo again. He's done a fantastic job of pulling Freiburg with him. He looks like just an overall winner. And kind of demands higher standards. So obviously getting himself a goal and assist was crucial in terms of the game. Again, it would have been criminal if Freiburg had gone on to lose this game because, as you mentioned, the game did very quickly kind of switch over to after the Hertha goal, and there was a lot of pressure from the away side, looking like potentially a typical Hertha game where they win away from home and produce the goods. But yeah, pleased that Freiburg were able to come through and score some goals. Obviously, it would have been fantastic for their fans to enjoy a second half salvo in the end, scoring 2, 3 and 4 goals at the end, obviously with the penalty. So it's important for their confidence. They're now probably one of the few teams that didn't want the winter break because they're on obviously a really good run. So yeah, comes in kind of fits and bursts with certain teams wanting a break and maybe others not. But it proves to show that they were really in trouble, and they've obviously gone on this really important run. They've got themselves effectively out of trouble for now, and it just goes to show any team can do that. And they've obviously, we put them in being in a bottom 5 not long ago, and now they're as high as 10th. So a little bit of a run, and you can get yourselves right out of trouble. And now they're in mid-table safety for now. So well done to Freiburg. They've been fantastic of late. Hertha, less said about that, the better, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, 17 points from 13 games is a really good tally for a side like Freiburg. And I think, apart from probably I would say they started pretty well, but then they had probably 3 or 4 games, especially the Mainz game at home, when you were thinking, oh dear, they're going to be in a bit of trouble this season. But this last 3 games have been outstanding for me. It's been 3 brilliant, not just wins, it's been 3 good performances where they've scored goals, created chances. It's been really good. And I think 17 points from 13, it's very, very mid-table kind of form, isn't it? I mean, and if you'd have given them at the start of the season after selling a few key players like Waldschmidt, the main striker from last year. But I really enjoy the way Freiburg play football as well. They're not really they're not a physical side as such, but they're very entertaining to watch. Obviously, Grifo is the main man, but Salah is key. Yeah, even Peterson, after his disaster last week, getting the penalty at the end, that was quite nice to see, wasn't it, that they gave him the penalty after coming late in the game to try and get his confidence up. But it proves they've got a good team spirit at that club as well. And I think, I mean, if they can keep, obviously they need to keep on to Grifo because he is the kind of really skillful and the key man, really. But I think other than that, they don't need to worry anymore about being near the bottom for me. Yeah, moving on to the last game, Wolfsburg v Stuttgart. I think more people would have expected this to be higher scoring, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, it's another win for Wolfsburg, bouncing back from their first defeat of the season. I mean, it was a game of 2 halves for me, this one. Wolfsburg completely dominated the first half. And the second half, it was more Stuttgart trying to push. Again, we mentioned before, they always find an answer, but this week they didn't, Rory.
Yeah, I think credit to Wolfsburg because now they're finding a way to win ugly, which they weren't at the start of the season when they were drawing ugly, which was a lot more hard to watch. But yeah, credit to them for getting the important goal and being able to hold on. I think that defensive grit that they've displayed this season, they've not conceded too many goals, and being able to hold out a very usually energetic Stuttgart team is a very big plus for them, and they go right back up there with that win. Obviously now they're sitting back in the top 4 in terms of their season. That would be overachieving for sure. So the fact that they're sitting there just before the Christmas break is a fantastic achievement for them. Just the 1 loss to Bayern, so very well done to Wolfsburg. Just one of those games, I'd say, for Stuttgart, only their 3rd loss for a newly promoted team. They've been obviously, as we've mentioned, a breath of fresh air. Just obviously have a nice 2-week break and continue in the new year.
Yeah, and the first side to keep them out as well. The first clean sheet a team has kept against Stuttgart this year. So yeah, I mean, Wolfsburg are a good side, not as are Stuttgart, really. So 2 of the teams that I've got big hopes for going into 2021. Okay, so that's the end of our review, the final show before the winter break, as I say, week 13. So let's now move on to our predictions as well. So yeah, Petre and pundits predict. So let's move over to Rory for that.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's quickly move through our myself and Mark's predictions for the first round of games after the Christmas break. So it'll be match week 14. Just done a quick count up as regards to how me and Mark are doing. We've exchanged blows during the last 2 rounds. So Mark won to get himself back to 6-3, and I have somehow won this week with a miserly 1 point, and Mark got a big fat 0, I'm afraid. So it's 7-3 as it stands. So Mark's having to have a 2-week break to rest and recuperate, and I'm going in with loads of momentum. So we're going into match day 14. So we'll go into it. So starting with on January the 2nd in the afternoon, so it'll be Saturday afternoon games. We've got Hoffenheim hosting Freiburg, and I'm going to say an entertaining 2-2 draw. Mark, your thoughts on this one?
I've actually gone for a 2-1 away win for Freiburg. I hope that the winter break doesn't take the kind of sting out of them, because they've been brilliant.
Yeah, very good. Another Saturday afternoon kickoff and another exciting game will be Eintracht Frankfurt versus Bayer Leverkusen. I think Leverkusen will just about narrowly win this one 2-1, but I think it'll be a good game.
Yeah, I've gone for a 1-0, but I think there'll be a lot of chances in this game, and it could be won by a late goal potentially, but 1-0 for me.
1-1, very good. Then we've got FC Cologne hosting FC Augsburg. I think the home side, after the grit and determination they've shown, will be able to get a win over the mid-table side. So 1-0 Cologne for me.
Yeah, I've gone 1-0, but it's a very hard one to tip, this one. Again, it could go either way, really, this one.
Yeah, indeed. Another Saturday afternoon kickoff will be Werder Bremen hosting Union Berlin. Despite the fact that both teams are opposite ends of the scale in terms of form, I'm saying 1-1 Werder Bremen to pick up a point.
I'm going for a 2-1 Union win, because they tend to do well in this kind of fixture.
Very good. And then another Saturday afternoon kickoff will be Arminia Bielefeld versus Borussia Mönchengladbach. Despite the fact that Arminia obviously got an important win this weekend, I think Mönchengladbach will finally get themselves back underway with the 2-0 win.
I'm going for a 3-1 Gladbach win there.
Very good. And then we've got some Saturday evening action on the 2nd. So it will be Hertha Berlin firstly hosting struggling Schalke, and I think despite the home side's woes at their stadium, I think they'll still be able to see off Schalke 2-0.
Yeah, this presents another kind of chance for Schalke to win. This, for me, is the absolute last chance saloon for them, really. And do you know what? I've actually gone for a 2-1 Schalke win. I don't know why, but I have gone for it.
I tell you what, our results are very opposite ends of the scale, so there's
be
one clear winner next time out. And then Saturday evening game, another very exciting looking game, is VfB Stuttgart hosting RB Leipzig. I think there'll be goals galore in this, so I'm saying a narrow 3-2 win for RB.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this one as well, definitely. Hopefully the teams can get refreshed, but I'm going for a 2-2 draw there.
Draw, very good. Moving on to 3rd of January, being the Sunday, we've got Borussia Dortmund hosting Wolfsburg. So another very enticing game to look forward to on the Sunday. I'm saying 2-2.
Yeah, I'm actually going for a 2-1 Wolfsburg win. Yeah, I just think Wolfsburg look like more like a winning team than Dortmund at the minute.
Absolutely. And the final game of the weekend will be Bayern Munich hosting off form Mainz. So I'm saying 5-0 to Bayern Munich.
Yeah, I mean this one, if Bayern are in the mood, this one could be anywhere up to whatever score you want to go to. But I'm going to go for a 4-0 win for Bayern.
4-0. Very good. Well, that rounds up our predictions for next week after the Christmas break. So just before we wrap up this final show of 2020, we're going to quickly do our hero and zero of the week. So I'll just start us off with the zero. I think there's obviously only one place to come. Don't like to nail players too much to the mast for doing stupid things, but Marcus Thuram, you're the zero of the week for your disgraceful spit at Posh, which has cost not only his side the game, but potentially a big ban, which would obviously not be a good thing for his side, Gladbach, either. So yeah, zero of the week, easily, Marcus Thuram for me.
Yeah, and moving on to the hero, I wouldn't say it was like an outstanding weekend of fixtures, probably with a few teams tied, but for me, probably the standout performance of the week from the team was Freiburg, and for me, the player was Grifo. Yeah, I mean, a player that I've been talking about quite a lot in recent weeks, but I've really enjoyed watching him. He seems to be a mixture of like a leader, a goal scorer, and also like a kind of creator and a kind of influential player on the pitch. So yeah, for me, a goal and an assist against Hertha in the 4-1 win. For me, there's only one hero this week, and it is Vincenzo Grifo.
Very well done then for Grifo. So yeah, that pretty much wraps us up for this show. Obviously, season's greetings to everyone. I hope everyone has a good Christmas. Please do keep your eyes peeled on the OTB YouTube channel over this festive period. Me and Mark have got some more recording to do, so there will be some more European editions coming out. So we'll be obviously having a look at how match days 4 to 6 went for the German teams, and also be reacting to the round of 16 and round of 32 draws with regards to the German teams as well. We got some more Derby Day dive-ins that we're going to be rolling out as well. So there's going to be loads and loads of stuff for you to watch over the Christmas period to keep you entertained during whatever form of lockdown or tier that you may be in. Give OTB a watch, give them a subscribe. We promise we'll get you through it one step at a time. So that is pretty much us rounded up. So over to Mark to finish off for this 2020 last show.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Rory said, we still do have a lot more content out for you. So if you want to follow that, if you're not a YouTube subscriber, then please check out our Twitter feed, which is, as you can see at the bottom, @OverTheBarFB. Also our website, which is very active as well, otbfootball.net. Remember, the best way to follow our new content though is by subscribing, clicking the red button on our YouTube, which will help as well. We're close to 100 subscribers. I think we're only 5 or 6 away from that. Yeah, so I mean, hopefully we can do that before 2020. So get subscribing. And yeah, I mean, we've got loads of stuff coming out for you. Look forward to the European edition as well, which should be coming out in the next week or so. So yeah, I mean, season's greetings, guys. Yeah. Yeah, schöne Weihnachtszeit, as it's say in German. And
Merry Christmas, one and all. Take care, and we'll see you next time.
Bye-bye, guys.